Hello again, everyone. Saka here, and welcome back to another episode of American Truck Simulator Idaho DLC. We are picking up right where we left off in Boise, Idaho at Deep Grove Forest Products, because today we have a special transport delivery to do. Let's just pull on up here and take a look at what we are taking today. We have a choice of a few things. We have the giant silo or the turnkey house. Both are going to Grangeville, but the giant silo gives us $500 more, so that seems to be the best way to go. The best thing about these special transport jobs are right there. The tanks are refilled with gas and our driving hours are reset. So essentially we get all of that stuff for free. And there is our giant silo, so we get a police escort. We get to run some red lights on our way up north to Grangeville. We'll see if the roads are fine for us. We haven't been that far north, of course. We just got into Idaho, so it's just going to be, feeling things out. And of course, those are the rules we have to follow. And right up there is our police escort, so let's get started. Oh, it engaged our parking brake. Well, thank you for that. And it looks like we also have some rain on the horizon. Let's turn on our lights as well, as it's starting to get dark. Hopefully not too dark for the video, as YouTube likes to darken things up. But we do have a little bit of rain here, but we're not going to be going any faster than 40 miles an hour. They got the highway blocked off for us. Let's take a nice wide turn, almost get up on the curb. Yeah, we'll take out that sign, but the city can fix that. And off we go. So up to 40 if we can. Looks like we are going all the way back into Boise, and we're going to be making a left turn on the highway. And thank you so much for joining me on this episode. If you didn't catch the first episode, you can look in the playlist where we go from Salt Lake City to Boise. And I want to thank those of you who are from Utah. One comment in particular said that they used to drive from Salt Lake City into Boise, and that road looked very familiar. And that's the best part of this series, in my opinion, is hearing from folks around the United States who live or have been familiar with these areas and say, they did a really good job. I was pretty impressed with what they've done because I believe SCS is a Swedish company, if I'm not mistaken. So a developer from Europe, hopefully doing their homework. It sounds like they have been. And do they do Google Street View and basically model everything they see from the Google Street View? Or do they send someone to the United States to take on-location photos? Given the state of the world, that's got to be extremely tough nowadays. Yeah, really wide turn here. Come back on itself and straighten out. Hopefully we don't clip anyone's nose off. Yeah, if someone was in that turn lane, that would have been bad. We do have a monstrosity of a load for sure. Let's go ahead and get in the left lane so we can set up for this right turn on the exit. But it looks like a 4-hour and 19-minute trip. We'll get there at just after 1 in the morning, assuming everything goes to plan. Thankfully, these special transport missions, I don't believe the highway is shut down. Like, the game sort of programs all of that stuff to not happen. That way, the route is sort of set in stone so that they can place these police vehicles. So we have the right-of-way everywhere we go, which is always nice and handy. And here we go out on the highway. We'll follow that cruiser up to 40 miles an hour. We'll go up to 14th gear and run at 40. Stay in the power band as much as we can. We may be able to get away with 16th gear. But it looks like we have another exit here off of 84 going up to Eagle and Mccall. So here's where we're working with. We have a nice sunset. Giant silo behind us, and some interesting lighting over there. Looks like a VIP helicopter, or perhaps a hospital if that was a life flight, but it didn't look like a life flight helicopter, but who knows. Yeah, this right turn is going to be stupid up here. It's a 90 degree, and if there are any street lamps like right on the corner of that, we have to plan accordingly, making the right turn on I-55 here, or State State Highway 55?
右
So
方
we'll
向で
drift
す。
all the way out to the left if we can. You better stay put, Dodge Charger, because we're coming through. And this is a tight turn. All right, cut it. Straighten out as best we can. We'll stay in the left lane and barely got under those street lights. And that's one thing that the developers have to do for these new states. If they want to allow people to take special transports, you have to go the way where street lights are not going to ping off of your trailer and things like that. So a lot of planning has to go into map making for sure. Let's go ahead and set cruise for 40. Hopefully the officer will increase his speed up there. Yeah, blocking off a road that we can't go down. Very, very nice.
直進です。
Yeah, looks like the officer is not going 40. We'll go 35. Oh crap, looks like we've got traffic in front of us as well. That's going to be challenging indeed, especially since they have a red light and we're going to have to... There we go. Green light, get out of the way there, van. Police escort coming through, don't make me slow down. So we'll ease off the gas a bit so we don't have to get onto the brake. We're taking up pretty much both lanes because I don't want to clobber the right side of this silo against those telephone poles or power lines. So we'll just keep to the left here, and hopefully that van scoots on down the road and gets up to highway speed so we don't have to worry about him.
右車線です。その後、そのまま直進です。
And this is an interesting road we're coming up to. It looks kind
直
of
進
tight.
です。
And I don't know if it's uphill or not, but that's going to be taxing on the engine and transmission for sure. And it looks like the rain has stopped. We'll go ahead and turn off our wipers there. But overall, a nice, crisp evening to drive. Oh, yeah, go ahead and push that bus over there, guy. So as I said in the last episode, this is basically a driving vlog series where I may not be driving my real life car and talking to you about what's going on, but in American truck we certainly can do such things as these. And here this past week I ordered a graphics tablet. Basically those things that you see artists at DreamWorks and Disney and the graphics designers who have a touchscreen display where they use a stylus, a pen that actually has pressure sensitivity to draw. I got one of those, and I've been playing around in Blender. It's a free 3D modeling software that's really fun. If you ever wanted to get into character design, maybe for video games, or just wanted to play around with seeing what you can design, I highly recommend it. It's free. And you certainly don't need a graphics tablet, but it just adds to the experience. It's kind of like playing American Truck with a keyboard and then going up to a controller, and then once you are comfortable with the controller, you get a steering wheel, and all of a sudden the world seems to open up to you. It's got that same feeling with the graphics tablet. Not required, but it makes things so much easier. And I've been playing around with character models. I want to do some animations. I'll post them on the channel if there is enough desire to see it. But the process of creating, I mean, things like this, like these vehicles, for example, all done in 3D, of course, in a 3D software. But if you got Blender and got good at it, you too could put your own vehicle in American Truck Simulator with enough education. And that's like the biggest thing for me, is getting on YouTube and seeing how the different parts of the pipeline work. Whether it be making the vehicles or texturing the vehicles, making, colors happen. Otherwise, it would just be a white blocked out shape. So putting seams in the model, much like seams of your clothing, and putting some textures on it, then putting effects like dirt or scratches, or defining what parts of the model are shiny versus what parts of the model do not reflect light so well. It's really fascinating. If I could go back and tell my younger self what to do when I got out of the Army, I'd still say go to college, but I would say go into like graphic design. Because even though it's a hobby, it's really fun. It's like YouTube. It would be nice to take a hobby and do it for real and have it support me so I don't have to worry about my full-time job. But I am fortunate to have a job. That is for sure. Looking at unemployment numbers and all the things like that, it's sobering for sure. But at this point, not only do I have a job, but in the next couple weeks I'm going to be getting some overtime because we're half-staffed, essentially, and we have to cover all of those hours. And if you've ever been at a workplace where half of your workforce has left and you were left behind to pick up the slack, that's kind of what I've got going on in a few weeks' time. I hope it doesn't affect the amount of videos on my channel. It shouldn't. With American Truck and Planet Zoo is fairly easy to record. It's a little bit time consuming because I'm doing the career mode, and I want to get to a nice stopping place in each episode. I just, don't want to play for 30 minutes, cut it there, and say, well, that's your episode. I want to get to a natural stopping point. Sometimes I'll, for a 30-minute Planet Zoo episode, I'll actually end up recording for an hour and then cutting out all the extra stuff that, is me waiting or building or things that, you've seen 1,000 times or done 1,000 times if you've played Planet Zoo. But with 2 Planet Zoo episodes a week, 1 or 2 American Truck Sims, this is really easy to record. Just get a destination. Tell you what, cop. There we go. I'm sure he hates his life right now, but I want to see some of the surrounding area here. I'm glad we're making good time. We're hovering at 40 miles an hour or thereabouts. Considering how tight this road is and how many elevation changes there are, I'm glad to be holding a solid 40 miles an hour. Let's actually set the cruise and see if we can get away with that. Might not be able to here coming up. We have a bit of a sharp right. But yeah, if I do any modeling that I think would be worthwhile to show, I'll definitely put it on YouTube, maybe do a time lapse. That way you don't have to sit and watch me faff about for hours upon hours, but I can condense it down so if you're interested in the design process, going from just like a ball into a person and then putting them, rigging them up with a skeleton and making them move. I can do that. All right, getting into the next town. We're at Mccall here, and it looks like we are about to get into or nearby one of the scenic locations. So if you look on the GPS right next to the gas station icon, you will see a purple icon there that's sort of like a starburst. And what those are is something that SCS is experimenting with. You pull off, you go to that view, and then you turn off your engine, and it will basically show you the surrounding area in a cinematic sort of camera. It really lets you appreciate the artwork done in these DLCs, because driving through, you've got your eyes focused on the cars in front of you and the route. You're not really paying attention to the models. You're not really paying attention to what these buildings look like, or the vehicles, or the landmarks nearby. So that's a really cool thing. And they said with positive feedback, they'll integrate that into the states that are already in American Truck and then have them moving forward. What kind of a world we got going on here up there? That is a interesting set of turns, that's for sure. We're about halfway through this journey, 2 hours and 2 minutes to go. Normally we would be tearing through at 55 miles an hour, but 40 isn't bad. And I'm happy to say that, 11 o'clock at night, there isn't a whole lot of oncoming traffic, which makes sense, and it makes our job a lot easier. When a truck brought something like this
この
through my
先、右
hometown,
方向です。
in real life, they did it around lunchtime. And they left St. Louis really early in the morning to, get through the trouble
右方
spots
向です。
nice and early. But they went through downtown right around lunchtime. Of course, we knew well in advance. We knew like a week ahead of time that something this big would be coming through on a truck. And a lot of people were posting pictures on the internet for sure. Local news covered it. It actually took out a corner of a cornfield. There was a 90-degree left-hand turn and really nowhere to swing out. Like, the intersection isn't wide whatsoever, but it was the least traveled road to get to, hey, we're at the 45th parallel. All right, so let's pull up the map. So in case you were trying to get to the 45th parallel, we're about right here, in between Boise and Grangeville on Highway 55. Okay, so that is the halfway point between the equator and the North Pole, which we've been further up. We've been to Washington, but I guess that's something that Oregon or Idaho might celebrate. I'm not sure. But we unlocked an achievement, and that's one less achievement I have to worry about getting in the future. There are some achievements to take different loads of potatoes to different locations, or take a load of potatoes from each farm. There's also specific routes that you have to do between a destination city and an origin city that I haven't done yet. But luckily, no real unachievable achievements. No achievements that feel really daunting. Like, it's at this point, if you just got the Special Transport DLC, and you've got all the states up to this point, and you get the Special Transport DLC after that, the achievement to get the Special Transport DLC to drive all special routes gets exponentially harder the longer you wait, because as more states are added and more Special Transport routes are added, that factors in to your achievement. Holy crap, that's a drop. Yeah, that's a big old river right there. So it's like, I'm glad I got the Special Transport DLC when it first came out and there were only a few Special Transport routes in the game. I only had to do maybe... How many did I have to do? There's an achievement to take one of every kind of Special Transport. Then there was do a Special Transport taking all three parts of the Earth Mover, the giant caterpillar, which of course, if you're going to take everything in the Special Transport DLC, you'll get that achievement by proxy. But those routes and like an additional 3 were the only routes that I had to do. So maybe 10 or 12 Special Transport routes. And then the achievement was done, and that's on the profile. It's never going away. Even if I never do another Special Transport route again, I have that achievement. So luckily, there's nothing like that in Idaho that retroactively would make it harder the more states you have, if that makes any sense. Everything is condensed to Idaho itself. Yeah, it's a shame we can't go 65, but with this big honking thing and as tight as these turns are, it wouldn't be in our best interest. White Bird Creek, you say? And this looks like a pretty expansive... Oh, man. Yeah, the depth of field there is incredible. If this was in VR, that would be a sight to see. I mean, take a look at that. That is incredible. Massive hole in the ground. Not like the Grand Canyon for sure, but still a giant hole in the ground. And it kind of looks like we may be getting close, 50 minutes away. We're getting to some tight turns, and I see a beacon of an oncoming truck, or maybe that's a stationary truck. Scenic overlook. Okay, thankfully those beacons are not an oncoming truck. It's just one of our buddies making sure that these trucks don't pull out. That one's sort of encroaching on our space. Yeah, this hill's kind of tough to get up. We're taking it in 13th gear, keeping it in the green zone, still picking up a little bit of speed. Yeah, I think this could have been a whole lot worse had we tried to do this during the day as far as traffic was concerned. But it'll be one more city in the books. And then hopefully we can get something good out of Grangeville. When we arrive, I'll go ahead and rest. That way we can get to daytime and we'll see what kind of loads are coming out of Grangeville. I'm hoping to go up north towards Coeur d'Alene, because that seems like a good point. You know, if you can go the furthest north in the state, then every load in the state is going south, and you have a greater chance of going where you want to go, rather than trying to go to a city that you don't have to go. Yeah, and hopefully the drivers have settled into the Boise garage. At the end of the last episode, we purchased 5 new trucks, hired 5 new drivers. And with the time it took to get this special transport loaded up, they may be out on the open road. There is that map mode now where you can see location of where all your drivers are. So we could take a look-see and see if our drivers are being productive. But only 18 minutes away and a fairly good journey thus far. Not too many tight turns. It was hairy in Boise. That's for sure. Trying to get out of the city is always a challenge when you have something like this. And hopefully we get credit for Grangeville once we get there. Carla couldn't find a job. Dang it, Carla. Why are you here? Yeah, we might not even be getting into Grangeville proper. Here's the sign, though. Welcome to Grangeville. Let us discover it, please. There we go. Gem State 2 out of 11. Population 3,000 people. Is that accurate? I mean, sure, it's between Boise and Coeur d'Alene, but the Grangeville City Center. We have Lewiston and Kooskia. Is that Kooskia? Where do you put the emphasis? Got a sit go over there. Luckily, we don't have to worry about filling up the truck. We'll just get some shut-eye here, perhaps, in between episodes and leave from here. But yeah, no real tight turns. It kind of looks like we have a sweeping left-hander coming up here, and then maybe a hard right into our drop-off area. So we'll make do and see what we got. Definitely seems agricultural around here. And yeah, we'll be heading through this intersection. We didn't even really get to run any red lights. The county road, and there's our destination right up there on the right. We'll be making the right turn. We'll be sure to get into the left lane as much as we can. And luckily, that's a nice big entryway. It's not like a 2-lane little road, so we could gingerly go in there. And then looking at our drop-off point, it's pretty well straight. Very nice run up too. Yeah, we don't have to worry about anything at all parking this thing. And like I said in the last episode, we really don't have to worry about parking anything at all. Because the experience points that we get is not going to be enough to really do much of anything. But NBC is here. And let's not overshoot. I do not want to try to reverse this thing. Booyah! Kinda close to the NBC van. Not going to lie. All right, let's go ahead and drop the trailer legs and see what we got. All right, 188 miles, 9 hours and 43 minutes. We got our 16,499, 700 XP total, 25 of that was our experience points. Let's take a look at the world map, or the freight market, and see what's coming out of Grangeville. So we have back to Oregon, we have over to Yakima. Ketchum would be okay. We'd be going back through Boise and then heading that away. Wenatchee, no, we're not heading to Washington. Ogden, no, Aberdeen, Newport, Salina, back to Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and then there's our longest journey right there, 71,000. So hopefully when we take a sleep, that will reset and then we can maybe get something to go to Coeur d'Alene or something of that nature, but so far so good in this series. I'll go ahead and get some sleep and see you tomorrow, at least in game. And that will do it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next American Truck Sim video. Take care.